the house they never built. I never thought silence could be so expensive. But standing in front of my custom-built mansion on Riverside Drive, watching my sister's tears stream down her face through the wrought iron gate, I finally understood its exact price. $5 million to be precise. "Why do you have this?" Emma's voice cracked like thin ice under weight. I didn't answer. Some questions don't deserve words, only consequences. But let me take you back to where silence first became my currency. The fluorescent lights in our kitchen had always made everything look sickly. The yellow walls, Mom's tired face, Dad's disappointed eyes. That Tuesday evening, they made my acceptance letter look almost gray. "I got into MIT for their robotics program," I said, sliding the paper across the table. My hands were shaking. I'd been up for 36 hours preparing for this moment, practicing how I'd tell them, imagining their proud faces. Dad didn't even pick it up. He just glanced at it like I had shown him a grocery receipt. "Alice, we need to talk about your sister." My stomach dropped. Of course, it was always about Emma. Mom folded her hands, that familiar gesture that meant the decision was already made. "Emma's been accepted to the Sorbonne, the International Relations program. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." That's great," I managed. "I got into MIT. That's also... The tuition is $80,000. With living expenses in Paris, we're looking at close to $100,000 for the first year alone." The kitchen felt smaller suddenly, tighter. "I got a partial scholarship from MIT. I'd need about $40,000. I can work part-time, I can..." "Alice," Mom's voice had that edge to it, the one that meant the conversation was over before it began. "Your sister has been working toward this her entire life. She's studied French since she was 8. This is her dream. And robotics is mine." Silence. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. "We don't have the money for both of you," Dad said finally. "We've made our decision. Emma's going to Paris." "And me?" Mom looked away. Actually looked away, like she couldn't bear to see my face. "Community college is a perfectly respectable option. You can transfer later." "You're giving her $80,000 and telling me I don't deserve help?" "We're not saying you don't deserve it," Dad said, but his tone said exactly that. "We're saying we have to make a choice. Emma's opportunity is more prestigious. It's the Sorbonne, Alice. Do you understand what that means for her future?" I understood perfectly. I understood that Emma's dreams were painted in gold while mine were sketched in pencil, easy to erase. I understood that they'd never seen me at all, just the space where a daughter should be. I picked up my MIT letter. The paper felt thin, insubstantial. All those hours in the garage, building robots from scrap parts and YouTube tutorials. All those competitions I'd won, coming home with trophies they never found space to display. All those nights I'd stayed up coding while Emma practiced her French pronunciation in the next room, and they'd praise her accent while telling me to be quieter with my keyboard. "Okay," I said. Just that one word. But it tasted like blood. Emma left for Paris in September with 4 suitcases, a new MacBook, and Mom crying proud tears at the airport. I started at Clearwater Community College with a used backpack and a laptop I'd bought myself from 3 summers of lifeguarding. They didn't ask how my first day went. That was fine. I stopped expecting them to ask. I got a job at a tech repair shop downtown. 40 hours a week, minimum wage, but I learned more about hardware than any textbook could teach me. At night, I took online courses from MIT's open courseware. Free education taught by the same professors who would have been mine if my family had believed in me. Emma's Instagram filled with photos of the Eiffel Tower, croissants, cobblestone streets. Mom and Dad commented on every single one. Heart emojis. So proud. Our girl in Paris. I won the state robotics competition that November, built an AI-assisted sorting mechanism that could process recyclables with 97% accuracy. The prize was $5,000 and a feature in Tech Weekly magazine. I came home with the oversized check, still in its ceremonial holder. "That's nice, honey," Mom said, not looking up from her phone. She was video chatting with Emma, watching her sister show off some museum she'd visited. Dad was in his study, probably looking at Emma's tuition bills and figuring out how to afford next semester. I put the check on the kitchen table. It sat there for 3 days before I deposited it myself. The magazine article came out in December. My professor emailed me, excited. "Alice, you're going to get attention from this. Startup scouts read Tech Weekly. This could change your trajectory." I showed my parents the article. I don't know why I bothered. Maybe I still had hope then, some stupid, stubborn ember that refused to die. "That's great," Dad said, the same tone he'd used to acknowledge I'd taken out the trash. Then immediately, "Emma's professor says she's one of the top students in her cohort, top 5%. Of course she was. Emma had always been brilliant at being exactly what people wanted her to be. I was brilliant at things that didn't matter, at least not to them. That was the last time I showed them anything." Silence became my strategy. Not the hurt, petulant silence of a wounded child, but something colder, more calculated. I stopped trying to be seen and started building something they couldn't ignore. Community college became my laboratory. I took every engineering and computer science course they offered, maintained a 4.0, and used my competition winnings to buy materials. My dorm room, a tiny single I could barely afford, became my workshop. I built a prototype for a smart home energy system that could reduce power consumption by 40%. Then I built a better one. Then I wrote an algorithm that made it scalable. By my second year, I had a patent pending and 3 interested investors. "You should drop out," my roommate Zara said, watching me work at 3 a.m. on a Thursday. "Seriously, you're the next Steve Jobs. Why waste time on a degree you don't need?" "Because I need to know things, and because I have something to prove." "To who?" I didn't answer that. But every line of code I wrote, every circuit I soldered, every pitch I made to skeptical investors, it was all one long, silent answer to a question my parents had asked without words. Are you worth it? I was going to make damn sure they knew. Emma came home for Christmas that second year. She was different, more sophisticated, with a French boyfriend named Laurent who wore scarves indoors and talked about the American problem with authenticity. The house transformed for her arrival. Mom cleaned for days. Dad bought expensive wine. They hung a "Welcome Home, Emma" banner in the living room. I came home from my shift at the repair shop to find them all in the kitchen, Emma holding court about her semester, everyone hanging on her words. "Alice! Oh my God, I've missed you. Tell me everything. How's community college? Have you made friends?" The concern in her voice was genuine. That was the thing about Emma. She wasn't cruel. She just lived in a world where she was the sun and everyone else orbited around her warmth. She didn't know she was taking up all the light. "It's fine," I said. "Good. I'm working on some projects." "Still doing the robot thing?" Laurent asked, amused, like it was a quirky hobby, like I was building dollhouses. "Something like that." Emma launched back into a story about her internship at the French embassy. Mom and Dad's faces glowed. I excused myself and went to my childhood bedroom, now a guest room, redecorated in neutrals, all traces of me erased, and worked on my pitch deck until 4 a.m. I had a meeting with a venture capital firm in January. They'd seen my Tech Weekly article. They wanted to hear more about my energy system. I didn't tell my parents. What was the point? The meeting changed everything. Marcus Webb, the senior partner, was a Black man in his 50s with sharp eyes and sharper questions. He let me pitch for 7 minutes before interrupting. "How old are you?" 20. "Where are you studying?" "Clearwater Community College." His eyebrow rose. Not MIT? Stanford? Couldn't afford it. Something shifted in his expression. Your system works? I have 3 beta installations running. 41% efficiency increase across all 3. The algorithm learns and optimizes for each specific building's usage patterns. How much are you asking for? 200,000 for expansion and manufacturing partnerships, 15% equity. He laughed. Actually laughed. You're undervaluing yourself. I'll give you 500,000 for 12%. And I'm introducing you to my manufacturing contact in Shenzhen. I thought I'd misheard. 500,000? Your tech is good, but more than that, you're hungry. I can see it. You've got something to prove. He leaned forward. Am I right? I thought about Emma in Paris, about the MIT letter I still kept in my desk drawer, about Mom looking away. Yes, I said. Good. Channel that. Let it fuel you, but don't let it poison you. Deal? The next 3 years were a blur of 16-hour days, failed prototypes, and small victories that accumulated like compound interest. I transferred to a state university for my junior year, on full scholarship this time, and ran my startup from a rented garage that smelled like motor oil and ambition. Emma graduated from the Sorbonne and moved back home. She got a job at a nonprofit, doing good work for modest pay. Mom and Dad were proud, of course. Their daughter, making the world better. I launched my product nationally. Energy Smart installed in its first 100 buildings, then 1,000, then 10,000. I hired 15 employees, then 50, then 100. My company hit profitability in month 18. In month 24, we were valued at $15 million. I was 23 years old, and my parents still didn't know because I still didn't tell them. Alice? Honey, do you need money? Mom's voice on the phone was concerned. I was at my office, a real office now, downtown, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the river, reviewing acquisition offers. What? For rent? Emma mentioned you're still in school. We know how hard it can be. We could help with a couple hundred if you need it. A couple $100? I'd made $600,000 in profit that quarter. I'm fine, Mom. Are you sure? Because we want to support you. We know we couldn't help with tuition, but I said I'm fine. You don't have to be so defensive, honey. We're just worried. Emma says you never post on social media anymore. Are you okay? Are you struggling? Struggling. The word was almost funny. I'm great, Mom. Really. I have to go. Meeting in 5 minutes. On a Saturday? Busy time. Love you. I hung up before she could respond. Zara, now my COO, looked at me from across the conference table. You're going to tell them eventually, right? Tell them what? That you're about to buy a $5 million house? I looked at the real estate portfolio my agent had sent. The property on Riverside Drive was perfect. Modern, architectural, the kind of house that made a statement. No, I said. I don't think I will. The house took 6 months to close and another 3 to furnish. I hired an interior designer who understood that I wanted elegance, not ostentation. The kind of wealth that whispered rather than shouted. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. A home office that was bigger than my childhood bedroom. A garage workshop where I could still build things with my hands. Because no matter how successful I became, I never wanted to forget where I started. I moved in on a Tuesday. Didn't post about it, didn't announce it. Just started living in a space that was entirely, completely mine. 2 weeks later, Emma texted me. Alice, I drove by the most amazing house on Riverside today. You should see it. Made me think about goals. Anyway, want to grab coffee? I stared at that text for a long time. Sure. Saturday? We met at the cafe where we used to go as teenagers. Emma looked good, happy, settled. She'd gotten engaged to Laurent. They were planning a small wedding. So, she said, stirring her latte, How are you? Really? Mom and Dad are worried. They say you never visit anymore. I've been busy with work. The repair shop? I'd quit that job 3 years ago. Something like that. Emma frowned. Alice, are you mad at us? At me? No? You feel distant, like you're always somewhere else, even right now. She was right. I was somewhere else. I was in the meeting where Marcus first believed in me, in the garage where I'd built my first prototype, in my mansion on Riverside, in the life I'd constructed from silence and spite and stubborn, relentless work. I'm just focused on my own life, I said. I'm sorry we couldn't help with college, Emma said suddenly. I know it wasn't fair. I've always felt guilty about it. You shouldn't. It wasn't your fault. But you're okay? You're doing okay? I'm doing fine, Emma. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I love you, you know. I know I don't say it enough, but you're my sister, and I'm proud of you. Something twisted in my chest. Emma wasn't the enemy. She never had been. She'd just been the golden child, basking in warmth she didn't know was stolen from someone else. I love you too, I said, and meant it, but I still didn't tell her about the house. She found out anyway. A month later, Emma called me, crying so hard I couldn't understand her words at first. Slow down. What's wrong? I drove past that house again, the beautiful one on Riverside. I wanted to show Laurent. And, Alice, why is your car in the driveway? Silence. The expensive kind. That's my house, I said quietly. What? I live there. I bought it. How? With what money? Did you win the lottery? Did someone die? I built a company. It's worth about 40 million now. The house was 5 million. The line went dead silent. I could hear Emma breathing, that shallow, shocked rhythm of someone whose world just tilted sideways. Why didn't you tell us? You never asked. That's not fair, Alice. We would have what? Been proud? Thrown me a party? My voice stayed level, calm. Do you know how many competitions I won that you guys didn't come to? How many achievements I told you about that got a, that's nice, before you went back to talking about Emma? That's not, we didn't mean, I know you didn't. That's the problem. You never meant to. You just forgot I was there. Emma was crying again. I'm sorry. God, Alice, I'm so sorry. Can I tell Mom and Dad? If you want. She hung up. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. Dad called next. Voicemail. Then Emma again. Then Mom. Then Dad. I turned off my phone and went to my home office. I had a meeting with a Fortune 500 company in the morning. They wanted to install Energy Smart in all their buildings nationwide. It would be our biggest contract yet. They showed up at my gate 3 days later. All three of them. Mom, Dad, Emma. I watched them on the security camera, standing outside the wrought iron barrier that separated my world from theirs. Emma was crying again. Mom looked stunned. Dad looked small. Older than I remembered. I could have stayed inside, could have let them stand there until they gave up and left. Instead, I walked down my curved driveway, through my manicured garden, to the gate. Hi, I said. Mom tried to speak, but no words came out. She just stared at the house behind me, at the life I'd built in secret, in silence, in the space where their attention should have been. Dad finally said, We had no idea. I know. Why didn't you tell us? That question, the one Emma had asked, the one they'd all been asking, in different ways since she'd found out. Because you never made me feel like my achievements mattered, I said, so I stopped sharing them with you. That's not true, Mom said, but her voice broke. We've always been proud of you. You've been proud of Emma. I've been the other daughter, the one who didn't need help, the one who could figure it out herself. I looked at Emma, who was crying silently. I'm not angry at you, Em. I never was. But I needed you guys to see me, actually see me. And you didn't. We see you now, Dad said. Do you? Or do you see a $5 million house and finally think I'm worth paying attention to? The words hung in the air like smoke. What do you want from us? Mom asked. How do we fix this? I don't know if you can. Emma pressed her face against the date. Please, Alice. You're my sister. I can't lose you. You're not losing me. I'm right here. I've always been right here. You just never looked. I turned to go back to my house, my sanctuary, my proof. Alice, wait, Dad said. I'm sorry. We're sorry. You're right. We failed you. We got so focused on Emma's path that we forgot you had your own. And God, Alice, you've done something incredible. Something we should have been there to see. I stopped walking. Can we start over? Mom asked. Please, can we try to be the parents we should have been? I thought about that question for a long time, about whether forgiveness was possible, whether family could be rebuilt on foundations that had always been cracked. I don't know, I said honestly, but I'm willing to find out. It's been 2 years since that day at the gate. My relationship with my parents is complicated. Healing isn't linear. Some days are good. Some days I remember how invisible I felt and the anger comes back. But we're trying. They come to my company events now. They ask about my work, and I can tell they're actually listening. Emma and I are close again. She stood next to me when I rang the opening bell at NASDAQ last year, when we took Energy Smart public. She cried proud tears, and for once, I believed them. I established a scholarship fund for community college students pursuing STEM degrees. 5 full rides every year, including living expenses. I named it the Worth It Scholarship. Because here's what I learned in all those silent years. Sometimes the people who should believe in you won't. Sometimes your family will choose someone else's dreams over yours. Sometimes you'll be invisible in rooms where you deserve to be seen. And you can let that break you, or you can let it forge you. I chose the forge. My mansion on Riverside isn't just a house. It's a monument to every time they told me I didn't deserve help and I helped myself. To every achievement they overlooked while I kept achieving anyway. To the girl in that sickly yellow kitchen who picked up her MIT letter and said, okay, and turned that one word into empire. Marcus was right. I had something to prove, and I proved it. But the thing about revenge is that it's only satisfying for a moment. The real victory isn't the house or the money or the company. It's knowing that I did it, that I became exactly who I needed to be, with or without their belief. The house they never built for me, I built it myself. And that silence, that expensive, powerful silence, taught me something my family never could. The only person who needs to believe in you is you. Everything else is just noise.